All right, so today I'm going to be talking about the biggest mistakes business owners make that actually keeps them stuck and unsuccessful in this GovCon journey, y'all. Are you ready to take notes? Because like some of these things, there's some of these mistakes you also may be making, and you want to avoid them at any cost as possible. Because guess what? It's costing you, landing your first contract sooner rather than later. So I'm gonna dive into it. Of course, under this new administration, before I dive into these 10s, I'm going to share with you all under this new administration right now. I know that the messaging that is out in the marketplace, the propaganda around the messaging is go hide. They're not doing this, go run and forget about business, right? With the government and stuff like that. But you got to remember, look, millions and millions and millions are being made right now. And you got to remember, this right here is an administration about business. And so over the next 4 years, if you are not aware, there's going to be opportunities for brand new millionaires. 100 millionaires are going to be born. In fact, just the other day, I was talking to 2 young men we're talking about young Black men who have multi-million-dollar portfolios doing the very same things that I've been sharing for over the past few years on my channel. We're talking about retiring young in their 30s, getting ready to, cash out on hundreds of millions. Yeah. It's one thing to make $1 million, right? And we already know that only 6% of business owners across the nation, which there are 33 million, are making at least 1 million, right? But when we're talking about tens of millions, now that's a whole nother level of business. But it all starts with getting to that first one, right? And so for those of you who are just, maybe you're at the first, maybe you've been stuck at 1, maybe you've been stuck at 2, but you're ready to scale to tens of millions so that you can begin your exit plan for hundreds of millions, right? There's levels to this game. Look, you definitely want to tap into and write notes, take notes, but most of all, take action of the biggest mistakes that business owners are making right now that is keeping them from winning even their first contract. All right. So y'all ready to dive into it? Let me know where you're dropping in, where you're joining from. Drop your name, your business, your location, all those things in the chat, because I'm going to be watching you all. I'm going to be watching and checking you guys out. So GovCon taking over for the 99. Yes. And 2000, huh? Yes, they are. Learn about construction. I see you. All right. So I'm going to dive into it. And I'm going to go kind of quick. So I want to make sure that everyone that's going to be joining, tapping in, let me know if you're live, type live in the chat. If you're watching the replay, type replay so I can know at what point are you receiving this information. But hi, Sydney from Davenport, Iowa. Welcome in. All right, so we're going to dive into number 1. Started with number 1. The first reason why, I see you learn about government contracts from Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. Yes, live. Okay. So the first reason why most business owners are making first business mistake, biggest mistake that they're making is not properly registering, right, with their certifications correctly. And the reason why this is important is because how you're registered, this is how not only buyers and decision makers, but prime contractors, they're reaching you by your NAICS codes and your location and like the things that you're putting in your registration. And so for most small business owners, you don't even understand, especially if you've never taken the class, you've never, taken the time to get some type of blueprint or guidance or some type of consulting. You probably are leaving hundreds of thousands of opportunities on the table because you're not fully optimized and you're registering with the very bare basics. So for people who are registering with the very bare basics, people who are a little bit more advanced that are actually out there making money, you can tell by a person's profile whether or not they're a beginner or if they're a novice and they know a little bit something about what they're doing. And so by not properly registering with your certifications, that can actually be one of the biggest reasons why you're not winning contracts yet, right? And so, and the other thing about that number 1 is most people just stop at sam.gov. They think that, because they've heard some things online, well, I'm just going to go, start my LLC, get my EIN, get registered in SAM, then I'm going to pitch and win government contracts. But there's so much more in the process that you don't know. I'm going to share with you just a couple of the things you got to think about. And I'm still on just number one. I'm just a couple of the things. This is a little bit of a caveat, but I'm going to just start with just some of the things, right? Let me see if I can bring up a notepad here really quick. But just some of the things that that you're probably not thinking about on the journey, especially if you're out here solo bolo, trying to figure it out on your own, throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping that it will actually stick. Now we're talking about business owners having the opportunity to create tens of millions of dollars, like generate extra tens of millions of dollars. Like this is not something that you just kind of willy-nilly your way through it, kind of feel your way through the dark. This is something serious, and only the serious people who are really serious about it are really going to take the time and effort to do it, position themselves properly, right? They're going to educate themselves properly, because otherwise it's going to be 5 years from now, right? Some of you already have certifications. How many of you have certifications? Drop that. You at that step, number what? Drop that in the chat. How many of you are actually, you have certifications? Many of you have had those certifications for 3, 4, 5 years, and sometimes even 6, 7, 8 years, and you've been just renewing them every year. But those certifications have never led to you actually cashing out on contracts. It's probably because there's some fundamental basics, some things that you're missing that you do not know, because nobody knows everything. And for those who believe that they can just catch information out the air and think that you know the whole story, then it's going to be a journey. It's definitely going to be a journey. So if it's okay with you all, I'm just going to be totally transparent, totally straight up front with y'all, because I'm not that coach that's going to just sugarcoat things and tell you that it's okay to do the things that you're doing. If you're not getting results, then guess what? That means what you're doing does not work. That means you do not know what you're doing, because some people will tell you they know what they're doing, and you ask them, well, what results have you had? Well, what had happened was, then we get into that. So, so this is only for those who are just like, look, feed me, coach. Like, I really want to learn this thing, and I'm serious about creating wealth, right? And I'm serious about actually securing my first government contract, and I want to do that this year. And I'm going to do it under this administration, where people are going to get paid. People who pay attention will get paid. People who are paying attention are going to be the ones that get paid. But the people who are distracted by the propaganda, I'm sorry, you will be left out. There, as you can see, this wealth gap is about to get bigger. The wealth gap is about to get bigger. Are you going to be on the red pill or the blue pill? What side of the story are you going to end up on? So anyways, I'm going to share with you all. So I shared number one, but I'm going to share with you all. Let's see if I can share my screen real quick. Share screen. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to share with you all just some of the things, like just the fundamental basics of things that you got to remember on this journey, because everybody don't know everything. And so if you're not thinking about these things, just know they will come up. And if they come up without you being prepared, then you're going to have another hill or a mountain of something that's going to keep you continuously stuck. And so some of those things, it includes like beyond the registration. So beyond the registration. So I'll just put beyond registration, right? Registration. Beyond the registration, right? You got to think about, okay, let's just say the marketing piece. That right there is a whole strategy within itself. You got to think about, what is marketing? How do I market? Who do I market to? Who are the buyers? What is the purpose of my marketing? What am I marketing? All those different things is a system, a class, a program, a strategy, all within itself. Even beyond the marketing, then you're talking about, well, I talked about how you do market, but even beyond the marketing, you're talking about business relationship building. I'm just going to put BRB, relationship building. Right? Like, who do I need to build relationships with? Why? What is going to be the outcome of the relationship? What do I want? What is my objective in building this relationship? And am I definitely building relationships with potential primes, potential partners, potential buyers? Like, you have to think about relationship building. If you land a contract, you got to think about, how do I manage? I'm just going to put manage the contract, MC. How do I manage the contract? How do I get paid? In fact, before I even win the contract, how do I price that contract, right? So there's always going to be these questions upon questions. There's a lot of information, y'all. And I try to share as much as I possibly can, in as simple terms as I possibly can, so that people can understand there's more to the game than just going to sam.gov and getting registered. There's more to the game. There's a whole lot more, right? And then like pricing. Do you know that there's historical things that you can research so you can have a better understanding? Then you got to think about competition, like competitiveness, right? How do I compete? Right? How do I compete in my particular industry? Like, what is the best way to position myself to be competitive? Like, how do I participate in opportunities that are less competitive or no compete contracts? How do I win these no compete contracts? Then you got to think about the different contract vehicles. I'm just going to put CV, right? This stands for contract vehicles. What are the different contract vehicles? I have to have a deeper understanding of the type of contracts that are coming out and how they're rolled out and how they select the winning firm, right? Based on the type of vehicle that is in. Are you going to participate in all these different types of vehicles, or are you going to specialize in one? All of these different things are a part. Then like project management, I'm just going to put PM. Managing the contract, project management. Then you have team building, TB, team building, building and managing your team. Who do I hire? When? Why? Should I hire people? Like HR things, right? Should I hire people or should I partner? What's the best way to roll this thing out, right? And then when it comes to the tax implication, the tax implications that comes out of landing $1 million government contracts, $250,000, $500,000 contracts. Now, what is going to be my tax strategy? Like, who do I need to have do my paperwork, my bookkeeping, all these different things, right? And this is just some. Like, if you're feeling overwhelmed a little bit, just know that it's because it's overwhelming. And it is, right? But when you have a blueprint and you have guides and you have people holding your hand and show you what to do when you get there, people who have already accomplished. And I'm not talking about just myself. There are people who are out here who's already gone through these things who can simplify the process for you, right? So are you out here trying to figure it out by yourself? And if so, you are making one of the biggest mistakes and you are just like basically hoping that you get it right. That's just number one. Beyond the Reggie. Yeah, beyond the Reggie, right? Yeah, you say be beyond the Reggie. Okay. So, and that's just number one. Number two is not understanding the procurement process, right? So some of that I just touched on. There are different vehicles for procurement. There's different types of processes. Everything that just doesn't come from the buyer straight to the marketplace. Sometimes it doesn't even go into the marketplace. Do you not know that by the time things and opportunities even end up on the sam.gov public marketplace, they've already gone through rounds of seeing within their network, who's been in communication, who's been marketing to them directly. Can I sole source this? Like, is there somebody out here that's already showing up in my inbox or whatever? And if not, is there somebody that's sending in their qualifications during the pre-solicitations and sources sought phase? Are there any business owners doing that part? And if not, then secondary, it ends up on sam.gov. So by the time you see it, either it's already going through that rigorous process, or they probably already have somebody in mind. Yes. And so this is why they act. Sometimes they already have people in mind. And this is why they very specifically, these are the people who responded in the sources sought part or the request for information part or qualifications part. And then they've actually crafted the minimum qualifications to meet that company only. And this is the reason why you're like, this sounds like it's just too very specific. They have in mind that they're going to give it to somebody else, right? Yes. All right. So you got to understand the procurement process, right? Sometimes people jump in without learning the buying patterns. Do you not know that there are buying patterns that the government has, whether local, state, or federal? There are buying patterns usually. And so there's a spending tool that you can actually research spending tools for government spending. And it'll show you what agencies. So basically, depending on what agencies you're looking to market to or to do business with, it can't just be, I'm just here, I'm just going to win wherever I can win. You have to have a strategy. You have to have a target in mind. You got to know who you want to win your contract with and what type of opportunities they're putting out. And does those opportunities actually match your specific skill set? Or are you going to outsource it? You have to understand all of these different things, right? Simultaneously, right? And so people jump in without knowing these buying patterns. There are 4 quarters in a year. There are also 4 quarters of spending for the government, and that typically starts October 1st. October 1st through December is the first quarter. January through March is the second quarter. April, May, June through June. So right now we're in the third quarter. Quarters 3 and 4 is when they're doing their dump. Quarters 3 and 4. So they're spending all year round, but quarters 1, where they're actually trying to hurry up and get off as much as they possibly can, depending on the agency, right? So that the end of the year, they don't have to be in the green as much, right? And then quarters 3 and 4, this is where they're like, okay, we're getting close to the end of the fiscal year. We still have all this money remaining. Are you playing by the quarters? Are you playing and planning by the quarters, right? So you have to understand these things. There are procurement methods that they use, right? How do they actually acquire, buyers? Acquire business. How do they acquire? Are they using P cards for simplify, for micro purchases? Are they using, so you have to understand their acquisition process. Okay. Number 3, some business owners, I'm not saying y'all, I'm not saying you, I don't know who it is, right? But some people are just chasing after every opportunity that they hear. Just like, oh, squirrel here, now squirrel there. You don't have no focus, right? You have to have a focus, especially if you have 0 results to start with, 0. So you have nothing to lose when you have 0 results. So in order to actually get from 0 to something on the books, at least 100,000, your first win or something, you have to have a very specific focus. What are you going to go after? Are you going to go after something that you do, or are you going to outsource it, or something very specific? So you have to be very focused, right? So it requires patience. It requires research and knowing who's buying what you're selling, or what you aspire to sell, or what you desire to outsource, right? And so having that focus is going to be very important, okay? Number 4 is lack of relationship building. What are we talking about? You don't have to have relationships in the GovCon space. You really don't, right? But relationships make things a little bit easier. So for me, I know that when I first started, I had 0 relationships. We're talking about the early 2000s, 2007, 2008. I had 0 relationships, right? So what I did was I started attending networking events. I started meeting the contracting officers, meeting the procurement officers, meeting the primes, meeting the subs, meeting all the other professionals that are looking to do business with the government. And I did that for like 2 years straight. Showed up to almost every Meet the Buyers event, every supplier diversity event. I showed up to so many events that people knew my name. They began to know what I offer. And then it didn't help that I had a very unique business name. It's called Big Mouth Productions. I had a very unique business name. So they're like, oh, you the big mouth girl. Oh, you the big mouth lady, right? And so they knew me because of my brand, the brand name, but also they know me because I was usually one of the only Black African-American women in the room full of white men. And there's probably a couple Asians there, but just like, and it's still that way today. There's not a lot of, minority women in the rooms. There's not a lot of just African-Americans in the, whether female or male in those particular rooms where decisions are being made and relationships are being created, right? There's not a lot of us in the room, right? So and when it comes to the minority contracts, you got to know that less than 1% of actual minorities actually get those contracts, right? It goes to primarily Caucasian women who are minority. These Caucasian women, because they're a woman, they are actually considered a minority. And so they're the ones who are getting minority contracts primarily. So anyways, so all that to say is you got to build relationships, even if it's you just find one person. So, when you're and I'm going to give you guys a nugget. I'm going to give you a nugget. When you are looking through these databases for contracting opportunities, there's always a contracting officer, procurement officer, point of contact, a POC. There's always a POC on these projects. Those POCs have a name and a phone number, sometimes email only, right? But they have a name and they have an email. At minimum, right? What are you doing with those opportunities to reach out to that person, to email them, to follow up with them, to stay in contact with them, and to actually build a relationship? These things take time. And I know that you can get rich faster, you can get wealthy in this particular game, but it is not an overnight success. It is not. It takes diligence, which means that if you don't have the commitment to take the time to do the work, then you're really just dreaming, and you're just saying that I'm a government contractor and I'm trying to figure it out. But are you really trying to figure it out, or do you really need help? Right? Do you really need help? Right? Because some people, the majority need help, right? And they just don't want to admit that that they need help. So instead, they'll show up at every every online event, watching everybody YouTube, and they're confused and conflicted and trying to think that they can paste all these things together and still get zero results. So if you've been trying to paste things together and still got zero results, and it's been a year, you could have had at least 1 or 2 contracts within that time frame. And that average could have been about $500,000. So quit playing. Right? Like, who has time to waste time? Nobody has time to waste time. Time is not money. It's ultimately more valuable than money. However, within that time frame, you could have made so much more money, with a blueprint and a guide, right? Rather than trying to figure out how to feel through the dark. Okay. So that was just number 4. Number 5 is inability to write a winning proposal, right? This is big because a lot of times people ask, who here on here that's watching, let me know in the chat if you've ever written a proposal, like tried to respond to a bid opportunity and you wrote your proposal, whether you knew it or not, had a template or not, had experience or not, who's actually just did it, just like boldly clicks in and just did it, right? Let me know in the chat. Say I have in the chat. Right. Because the thing is, when you don't have the knowledge, like, even that is worth. Now, if you go to college for anything and acquire a student loan for anything and acquire some type of bill for anything, it should be learning how to submit bids and respond to the proposals. Because regardless if you've done all this other stuff, if you don't know how to bid, if you don't know how to respond to a proposal, if you don't know how to translate a proposal, because it's written in government. It's written in government. Look, the real Don says, I'm stuck on that part, right? You got to get unstuck. And the crazy part about it, that I love your transparency, Don Watt, is like, you are aware. Awareness is one thing, and being willing to admit that, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. Now, you have to fill those gaps and solve the problem of not knowing. Now you have to, figure that part out, right? And that's just one piece of the puzzle, but at least that will help you, like, respond to some contracts. You might win one without knowing how to really, deliver on a contract. You might actually win it if you know how to submit a proposal. So I'm actually I've been thinking about doing this, and I'll probably just go ahead and do it over the next couple of months, and just do a workshop alone on just proposal writing, understanding how to respond to the proposals, because that is so key. A lot of people are stuck on that. And sometimes people are just intimidated by the language in these proposals because they're long. Well, if I can show you how to shortcut your way through these long, lengthy RFPs, RFIs, RFQs, RF whatever, right? Have a shortcut and know exactly what to extract from there to do it faster. Would you want that? Would you want that? So let me see what you're talking about here. So it says, not me. I'm about a week into my discovery about GovCon. I watched an interview you did with Myron Golden this week, and I've been consuming your content since then. So I am so green. Yes, yeah. So it's good to be green, right? It's good to be green. Be consistent. As long as you're consistent, look, you can actually, get the information that you need. And, I would say, like, if you are an action taker, that's what is required. Consistency and taking action, right? If you are an action taker, anybody can start a business. Like, I'm talking about get an LLC, get your EIN, get a DUNS number. The reason why I say DUNS number is because creating wealth requires a DUNS number, because you want to tap into other people's money. Trust me, that is going to be a part of the process, whether it happens right away or down the line in the future. You definitely want to better position yourself for long-term sustainability. And you want to start the business the right way, and not just like, oh yeah, well, I should have did that a long time ago. Well, let me do it. Now 5 years passed. Now you missed out on the opportunity to actually tap into hundreds of thousands of dollars of OPM, other people's money, right? But anyways, this will be great. Hey, Alicia. Yeah, you caught me live. So this would actually be great for those like you, learn about construction, who's brand new. Go to I'm telling you, take the challenge. So you've probably seen govconchallenge.com on the interview that I did with Myron Golden, govconchallenge.com. The next one is coming up in a couple weeks. So this is like the fundamental basics. People who have gone through the challenge and registered as VIP typically are the ones who gets results within 90 days, 6 months, right? They get results of winning government contracts within 90 days to 6 months, I would say. And that minimum result is usually around about $250,000. So you can start your whole new LLC, get your EIN, get your DUNS number, get registered in sam.gov, start the process of getting certified across local and state and the Department of Transportation, and actually win a contract for those who are action takers within your first 90 days to 6 months for action takers, as long as you have a blueprint and not throwing things around in the dark, right? And so people are leaving a lot of opportunities on the table simply because they are afraid. What are you afraid of? Are you really afraid of success? And so we have inability to write a proposal. Number 6 is pricing yourself out of competitiveness. Pricing. There's some nuggets I'm about to drop right now, so make sure you write these down. Pricing is key, okay? Understanding your worth. Sometimes when you're brand new to this game, people sometimes don't know, right? I didn't know how to price myself when I first started. I just started throwing out pricing. I just knew that when I was freelancing, doing video production, photography services, I would charge like $300 to do a photo shoot or something like that. I just knew that, right? I knew that for a wedding, I would probably charge like $2,500 to shoot a wedding, film a wedding, do the editing and all that stuff, right? So I knew my B2C pricing structure. When it comes to B2G, business to government, I had no idea how to price my services. So what I started doing was taking my best guess. I knew that the government was going to pay more. I knew they had more money. So I just started charging like, $2,500 for the hour. I just happened to win that first contract, but I didn't put it in an hourly rate. I just put it like a daily rate, and it ended up being $70,000 for 28 days of work, and it was 56 hours. So you do the math on that. So when you do the math, it came out to about $2,500 a day, right? And so take your best guess. There are some other pricing strategies that you want to do. Research, again, things that are meant to help you really excel in life are things that you want to take your time doing, not rush through, right? Which means that you have to do some research. There's public records that you can actually request copies of the last company of this agency, for this particular scope of work, how much were they awarded for a contract? And do you want to reverse engineer? What was the scope of work? What was the time frame of the work? Where was it located? Did they have to travel? So you're actually researching the past performance or the past historical data to come up with, okay, so I can do something similar and be really competitive and be in the pocket. So Douglas says, DUNS number, got it ready. Douglas Souza says, EIN, LLC, DUNS number, UEI, I got it ready. You got it. Now it's time to get yourself a blueprint on pitching and winning contracts, right? Are you formally positioned as a certified federal contractor, as a certified state contractor, and as a certified contractor with your city and county? Those things are still important and very relevant, especially in this administration right now. While all the chaos is happening, you definitely want to have these things in position, because it's happening for people who are in position. So make sure that you do those, and don't forget about that part as well. All right. So pricing yourself out of competitiveness, right? Do you not know that you can be underpriced and lose a contract simply because you've underbid it yourself, right? You can, like the professionals, people who are behind the scenes, they're looking at your proposals and your pricing. They know if you're a novice. They know that if you're a beginner. They know that if you're actually not going to be able to perform based on how you priced it. And they will actually deny your contracting opportunity, right? Because they're like, based on historical data, this looks like it's going to be underpriced, and this person is not going to be able to complete the job because it's not enough money that they're asking for, right? There's historical data there, right? So you can underprice yourself. You can also overprice yourself. So to be in a sweet spot, you must do your research, okay? Neglecting to build past performance and social proof. So that's number 7 is not building past performance. So now when it comes to past performance, it does not have to be with government. If you're brand new to this industry, this business model, you're definitely not going to have past performance, which means a resume of government agencies that you've done business for. You're not going to have that, right? But you can build it. How do you build it, right? There's other strategies. You can start with micro purchases. You can start with simplified acquisitions. You can start with teaming and partnering. You can start with subcontracting to start building that performance. You can partner with other people and outsource, and then their past performance becomes your past performance. And now you can present that past performance as your own, right? There's strategies and there's ways to actually leverage other people's everything is always going to be key in this particular journey of building and growing a thriving business for sustainability purposes, leveraging other people's time, skills, money, and whatever else you want to plug in, right? Their business, all that stuff. Okay. So build past performance. Ignoring your capability statement and your branding, right? So yes, you can get a contract without a capability statement. You don't even need it. Like, you honestly don't even need to have a capability statement. But if you want to build relationships, if you want to have a pipeline of opportunities always in your inbox, so that you're not just winning one contract and you're one and done, and now you're back starting to zero, but you want to have a pipeline of opportunities that you're constantly bidding on that keeps your business above the million, right? Annually, and every single month you're billing at $100,000 or $200,000, a month, right? Who would like to have that type of result? Well, in order to have that type of result, the back end work is very important. You build it once, and maybe you make some adjustments over time, depending on who you're going to market it to. But it is a marketing tool. It helps you get those conversations started when building relationships, right? And so having that capability statement is going to be key. But it also helps you strategically to know who you are in the marketplace, what value proposition you're bringing to the table, and like what unique benefits, right, do the government have or an agency has to work with you in particular. So it helps you to think about yourself, your business, your skill set from a whole third party perspective, right? And so it's good to just do that exercise, right? Most people have more than one capability statement. They have many. I have about 3 or 4 of them, only because I understood in my experience. First, I started doing marketing my capabilities as a photographer. And then I learned that there was a lot of opportunities for construction photography. So I created a capability statement as a specialized photographer in construction photography, right? And then I started landing contracts for videography and graphic design and websites and all that stuff. So I created a multimedia, capability statement. And I started marketing myself to provide multiple services. We're talking about all those things under one umbrella. And so depending on the opportunities that you're seeing, you kind of want to camouflage, you just want to kind of ship shape depending on the agency and what they're saying they're buying. You have to learn how to follow the money, follow the market, and then actually cash in on the opportunities that are coming your way. So number 9, the 9th biggest reason or mistake that business owners make that keeps them from pursuing and winning successfully lucrative government contracts is not utilizing the set aside certifications. How many of you that are following me right now have certifications? Maybe you are minority certified, maybe you're woman certified, maybe you're veteran certified, maybe you don't have any certifications at all, right? But for those who have had those certifications and have not turned those certifications into cash flow, you have not cashed a check in on that, it's because you probably don't know how to properly utilize those certifications to turn that conversation into an opportunity where you can actually go cash a check, right? So type that in the chat. Let me know. So I see someone is a service disabled veteran. That's Michael Peebles, service disabled veteran, right? Are you cashing in on your service disabled veteran opportunities, right? So that means you can participate in set aside specifically, even now, right? And so local and state is blowing up across the nation. Local and state certifications is blowing up because, you got people, I almost say ignorant people, but you got people in the administration trying to play with set asides for minorities and socially economically disadvantaged people. They're still awarding contracts. However, they're trying to play with it and spin off the wheel all this other propaganda to keep people intimidated. Bro, don't be intimidated. figure out what's currently being set aside for service disabled veterans right now. But also look at your local and state, and city and county, and look at the Department of Transportation and see what other type of set asides. Participate in the set asides, because that's easy money. Not to mention, not only is it easy money, like at one point, I think it was like 2012, 2015, through that particular time frame. I was managing in a single year over 20 contracts simultaneously. Like literally, I mean, when your girl figured out this thing, I hit the ground running. Like I was managing 20 contracts or more simultaneously. So every single month, I'm invoicing 20 different invoices to 20 different agencies, and like was rolling in the bank, right? But the only reason why I was able to do that is because of my certifications. I knew how to leverage it. I knew how to turn those conversations and that certifications into cash flow and relationships. I knew that the primes had to utilize. So I would look at the contracting opportunities, like the big ones that was out of my scope, but it included my scope, right? There's a nugget right there. I knew how to look at those particular opportunities and look for the goals. Like, what is the spending goal for this? And it would literally tell you 6% has to go to a woman-owned business, right? So I would pull out my woman-owned certification card. I would pull it out. Well, I'm woman-owned certified, so I can help them meet the goal of 6% of this contract going to a certified woman-owned business. And then it will say like 2% has to go to a minority business. I'm like, okay, I can meet that qualification on here too. That's 8% of the contract has to go to people who look like me, right? And then they will say a certain percentage has to go to a local business. I'm like, oh, I'm locally certified. So the more certifications that you have, you can actually play those cards and people begin to utilize you. And so most of those contracts that I had simultaneously at the same time was because of those set aside certifications. And they were all subcontracts, right? Most of them were subcontracts because these prime contractors had to utilize me. So that was a game. And it's crazy because I remember one time on one particular contract, I'm gonna tell y'all. So it was with the port, the port of San Francisco, right? The port of San Francisco, they had put out two different contracts. I can't remember exactly what the scope of work was, but I believe it was like marketing communications or something like that. And on that particular contract, when they had the pre-bid meeting, remember that's a term, right? That means preliminary to the bid coming out or being due, we're having a meeting. So everybody who's interested in this, whether as a sub or prime, you get to come to see who the people are that's going to be participating in this particular opportunity, potentially. Not to mention, there's a list that everybody signs when they walk into these pre-bid meetings, and then it has their name, their company name, their email, their phone number, and that list becomes public. So now you have a list of potential partners for the future, people who can do business with you in the future, people who you can sub out work for in the future. So I began to learn all of these different little ins and outs. And I was like, so there's about 50 business owners in this particular pre-bid meeting for the Port of San Francisco. They're going to give the contract to 6 of these particular firms. So I don't know which 6 they're going to select. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to leverage my social economic disadvantage because I know the utilization goal, and I'm going to actually market and directly introduce myself to all 50 of the people that's in the room. And I'm going to ask all 50 of them to utilize me as a sub. So when 6 win, that means I'm going to win 6 contracts simultaneously if all 50 of the people added me to their proposal as a sub. And that happened. And people were like, people who have been in this game for 20, 30 years, they were like, how did you do that? We see your name on this contract, on this contract, on this contract. How did you do that? Mind you, I'm brand new. I just, I'm just using my brilliant mind because it only makes sense to me, right? So, and so they were like, how did you do that? Like people who had experience and they were actually bringing in tens of millions of dollars already. And somebody like me who was barely making, 200, 300,000 as a beginner, right? I just used my brilliant mind and I understood the process. I understood what was in the room and I figured out how to actually play the game. So there's strategies, there's systems and strategies to this. And it's just one. So Candace says, let me see. Let me bring up this other. She said, "You speak the truth. I work for a major roofing company, contractor in Gardena, and we have goals to meet all the time. I'm a bid contract coordinator." See, that's Candy's, right? I would love to, like, if you're you have goals to meet all the time. If you're in what part, Gardena, Cal, so that's Southern Cal. So if you're ever looking for a sub, I would love to connect with you, because I have a database of small business owners in California who are certified, and some of them are in Southern Cal. So if you're ever looking for any certified business owners, I would love to connect. So send me a message at support@shesgotgoals.com, and we can connect and collaborate on some things. So anyways, if it's possible for others, it's possible for me. Yes, it is. It's definitely, you have to believe. So when people think about other people's success stories on winning lucrative government contracts, right? There are first generation wealth builders. Like, you was broke before you learned this game, making tens of millions of dollars in this particular space. Like, I was talking to a young brother. I'm not going to say his name, but I was talking to a young brother the other day that I had the opportunity of meeting and having a really, really great wealth conversation, right? And I appreciate having conversations with intelligent people who understands the wealth game. They're not thinking about ways to kind of maneuver, like people who understand that it takes business, like it takes money to really grow and thrive in business. And he was talking about how he had this government contracting business that he sold for about $20 million. He sold it, 20 million. Like, do you not know that you can build your government contracting business and sell it for 5 times more than what it's worth? Like, come on. Like, we have been left out of information about how to really grow and thrive in business and how to really create wealth. But like, as I'm coming into more information, I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that you could do that, right? I should have did that a long time ago, right? And so I'm sharing it with you so that you can stop hopscotching and playing. If those of you who are here, like watching hopscotching and playing around with this thing called government contracts, if you have been trying and attempting to do this thing for over a year, 2 years, right? And you have not yet found your mentor, your coach, your consultant, somebody who's going to give you a blueprint, you are playing and you are leaving like generational opportunities to create wealth for your children's children on the table because you're not serious, right? So either you're going to do it or not, right? Stay where you are or decide to become something different, right? And those are the only two roads, right? You're either going to do it or you're not. That's it, right? Just make a decision, okay? All right. So I covered the first 9, I think. Yep, 9. So learn how to use your certifications effectively, right? Don't just have them. They're not just papers to put on the wall, right? It don't mean nothing until you can actually make some money from it. That's it. Because being in business, primarily, the reason why people start businesses is to make money. Period. Can we all agree? Can we all agree to that? The reason why you started a business is because you want to make some moolah, right? So stop playing like, oh, I started a business because I want to serve. I mean, yeah, you want to serve the people, but you don't want to serve the people for free. Yeah, you want to have a government contract, but you don't want to do the contract for free, right? Nobody has time for that. We have time to pay our bills, to build wealth, to live life, to live it abundantly, which is a part of our calling anyway, right? To live life and live it more abundantly. You have to learn where to get the abundance from, right? And this right here is the source. It's the source. It is one of the biggest direct source of money. By the time if you position yourself to get it directly from the entity that prints it, you're going to get the lion's share. You're going to get the lion's share. Michael says, how do we connect to you for mentorship? So I'm actually on Facebook, Instagram. You can find me. I'm going to drop it in. I'm going to drop it here. I'll create a banner right here. But also, like, the first place is to go to govconchallenge.com. So the reason why I kind of shift everyone to start here, because now you get to know me a little bit deeper. We stay together for a week. We spend about 90 minutes a day over a week for 5 days. So that's about 6, 7, 8 hours of time. So you get to know my teaching strategies, how you get to know my who I am. You get to know my story. You get to know my purpose, all those different things. And I get to know about your business, but not just knowing about it. I get to actually help you through that week. For people who successfully go through the 5 days of action steps, these are the action takers that I know 100% I can help you get your first contract within your first 6 to 12 months. Now, for people who are just kind of willy-nilly, I don't know if I can help you because I don't know nothing about you. I don't know if you have the right business structure. I don't know if you're leaving codes on the table because you don't know how to really code stack and all that stuff. So the methodology. So the best place to start is govconchallenge.com. But you can also follow me. I'm going to put mostly on most social medias. You can find me at QuantitySpeaks.com. So I'm going to put that here. So QuantitySpeaks.com on Facebook, Instagram, Quantity here on YouTube, and LinkedIn, Quantity Speaks. So you can find me on any of those social medias. Follow me, message me, either myself or my team, primarily my team. But if it's a direct message to me or something, my team will give it to me and I can directly message you back. So that's the best place to start. But those are the top 9 reasons, right? The number 10 reason, which actually is the biggest reason of all, that is a mistake that keep business owners from pursuing even their first contract, is giving up too soon. People give up. Yes, people give up. This is not for the faint. This is not for people who want to see a result tomorrow. Like if you've been in business for 20 years and for 20 years you've been, stuck at 100,000 or whatever, 20 years. That means you've been doing the exact same thing for 20 years. But then tomorrow you expect the newfound information that you just got to turn you into a 7 and 8 figure earner. Then you have the wrong mindset, the wrong thought process, because now we got to go back and undo a lot of the programming that got you stuck at $100,000 a year for 20 years, right? We got to undo that programming because there's a lot of actions, decision making, all this mindset stuff that keeps you where you are. Now we got to start seeding in the right thoughts, the right mindset, the right decisions, what to act, the truth, right? The truth to business is that you don't have to stay in business until you die. The truth to business is that you can actually make tens of millions of dollars, and then you can actually sell your business for 5 times. So if you grow your business over the next 5 years to 20 million, you can sell it for 100 million. Like that should be the game plan. And you got to be thinking long-term and then work backwards and have a very clear focus of what you want to go, what you want to do. Most people can't even get through 30 days of focus. Right? The average person, they say the average person is like, you lose their interest or you lose their focus within, 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, right? So we're talking about 90 days to 6 months to win your first contract. But in order for you to do that, you have to be taking action consistently over those 90 days to 6 months consistently. This is the reason why you can call 100. But only 5 is actually gonna complete the race. You can call 100 to the table. You give them all the same blueprint. You can give them all the same guide. You can give them all the same information. 95 of the people are gonna tap out before 30 days. 95, right? Because it's not for the faint. It's for people who are sick and tired of being sick and tired. It's sad that you got to be to the point where you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. It's sad, right? Or people who are just like, I have a reason and a purpose. So the closer you are to knowing your purpose and having a vision and a goal, right? The closer you are to actually being that person who know where you want to go, but you just don't know exactly what to do along the way in order to get there. The closer you are to that particular person, the more likely you're actually going to hit that goal. Clarity. I've interviewed and talked to and networked and rubbed shoulders with and had dinner with so many multiple millionaires and even billionaires. And the one thing that we all have in common, when I asked them, well, what would you think was the biggest success secret for you that helps you to get to where you are? And they all say focus. That's it. Clarity. Focus and clarity. That's it. Right? When you have focus and you actually execute on the things that you're supposed to be doing, you can reach a goal. You can make $100,000 in a single day if you have clear focus. Trust me, I've done it. I've made $1 million in a single day. So money is nothing but a manifestation, a physical manifestation of a spiritual thing. Everything is energy. Money is energy. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. It only just changes forms, all those different things. And so when you have clear focus, you can create a crazy goal that people will think that you're crazy out of your mind to even believe, right? But if you believe it, if you can believe it, you can achieve it, right? It's all about, okay, now I have this goal. What do I have to do, right? Based on a proven blueprint, not based on guesswork, not based on throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping that it stick, not based on hypotheses and thesis and all those, but based on a proven framework that actually works. When you take that specific step, then you can achieve that goal. So dream big, right? Dream big, but also always have a blueprint and a guide, because that is what's going to help you to make that dream a reality. So that's my that's my rant for today, you guys. So I'm just going to recap real quick the top 10 reasons why most entrepreneurs actually are making a mistake when pursuing government contracts that keeps them actually stuck and unable to succeed in this particular field. Number one is failure to properly register and certify their business. Number two is not understanding the procurement process. Number three was chasing every opportunity without a focused strategy. Number four was lack of relationship building. Inability to write a proposal was number five. Number six was pricing yourself out of competitiveness, like not knowing how to price. Number seven was neglecting to build past performance and social proof. Number eight was ignoring your capabilities. And number nine is not utilizing your certifications, the set aside, not utilizing those set aside programs. They're there, right? We have procurement officers, decision makers, and buyers and government agencies right now saying people are not coming for the money. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen, where people are saying they want the money, but they're not willing to do the work and they don't show up to get the money. And these people are like, take it, take it, take it. Like, you want to be on the receiving side, get yourself in the process of doing all the things that I just shared. Okay. Giving up too soon. Number 10 is giving up too soon, right? So those are the things. And if I could sum all these 10 things up, it's all about preparing, pursuing, and prevailing. So you want to prepare, pursue the contracts, and then prevail in the government contracting space. So that's my rant for today, you guys. Join me in the next upcoming GovConChallenge.com. Look, this is going to be a challenge like no other. Our goal, of course, by the end of 2026 is to help 1,000 secure 1 million. 1,000 people, business owners, everyday regular business owners, 1,000 secure 1 million. It is so easy to do. You can do this in a quarter. You can do it over 4 quarters. You can do it in a month. If you know the math, it's all about math and understanding how to work backwards, reverse engineering. We can show you how the math works, right? But you have to start with the business foundation and understanding the fundamentals so that you can begin to build this business sustainably, right? And it all starts right here in the GovCon Challenge. This is going to be a challenge like no other. Make sure that you join. It's not just another one of those things, but you want to come ready, come with your questions. If you're a VIP, we get to answer your questions, but also come with your cameras on, because look, everyone that I've seen that have gotten results after going through the challenge, these are the people who ask questions. These are the people who registered for VIP, honestly. And these are the people who actually show up with their cameras on, participating and engaged, and is not camera off distracted, right? And these are the people who are the stories that you probably see on my YouTube channel of like Remy landing 300,000 within his first 3 weeks. 300,000 in 3 weeks. Like the average contract. Look, Forbes did a study on small businesses across the nation in the US. And it said that 86% of the small businesses across the US makes less than $100,000. That means you're stuck at about 0 to 80,000, right? The majority of business owners are in that category. However, for people who show up, take action, are not just talkers, but they're doers, this person secured his first contract, $300,000 in 3 weeks. How do you say week? Meses? I know that's months. I don't know how to say weeks, but 3 weeks, right? Life-changing, right? 3 weeks. So just imagine if he did that same process every 3 weeks or once a month, then we're talking about 3 times 12, right? That's what, 3.6 million, right? So quit playing. Quit playing. But this is where you start. And then like Magda, she won her first $250,000. And I think it was like, I want to say it was about 6 weeks, 5 weeks. Actually, it was 5 weeks to be exact. 5 weeks, $250,000 in 5 weeks. That's a month, right? It only took her like about 45 days to complete the work. We're talking about getting paid in 45 days, $250,000. What are we talking about? So people, I mean, I don't know if everybody is motivated by money. Me, I am. I am highly motivated by money because I didn't have it. I haven't always had it growing up, you know. And so it was scarce. And I understand that money is so very powerful. There's also a scripture that talks about how money solves all problems. It's in Ecclesiastes. I think it's 1:10. It may be 1:10. The book of Ecclesiastes. Look it up. Google it. What Ecclesiastes says about money being the solution to all problems. It says money solve all problems. So I was the type of person who had a lot of problems, right? I mean, I had a problem with paying car notes on time, paying rent on time. I have problems with like all these bills, more bills than money, more month than money, all this stuff. And so money was the solution to those things, right? If you have a problem with healthcare and all these different things, and depending on systems like, you know, the public systems for healthcare, well, money solves those particular problems. It will, when you make more money, now that's no longer a problem. Now you can have, you know, the best healthcare, right? And so it can change your zip code. So, and so many things. But there's also a scripture that says many are called, but only few are chosen. And these few are usually very aware of who they are. They're very focused. They're action takers, not talkers. They don't think everything, you know, try to maneuver. Like if you have the mindset of maneuverability, like you're trying to figure out freeways and all these different maneuverable things, don't join my challenge. Just don't, because you're not going to be able to get far in life. And I want to be connected to the people who are serious and not just like maneuvering. Like I'm just it just brings the wrong energy, and then it also repels wealth. Yeah, when you have the wrong energy, wrong mindset, it actually repels money, because like I said, money is a magnet. It's an energy source. And so in order for you to attract more of that thing that you want and aspire to have, you have to have the right energy, the right focus, the right spirit, all those different things. And so I want to continue to be in total alignment with purpose and with God and all that stuff, because that's going to continue to attract wealth for you and for me and all of us together, right? It's plenty of it out there. It's plenty. Money is plenty. Okay. All right. So that's it, you guys. I'll see you at the GovCon challenge. It's coming up in the next couple of weeks. Go to the site, get yourself registered as VIP so you can ask questions, because those are the ones who actually wins. And I want to see all of you win. All right. So it's only $297 for VIP. That ain't no money. That's lunch money. I don't make money off challenges. It's just that I believe in you actually get this, you get the harvest what you seed. And if you don't seed anything, there's no harvest to reap, right? Unless you steal it. There's no harvest to reap unless you crossing over, jumping over fences and stealing, right? And so, you know, that giving is a way to receive. And I'm a true believer of that. And so I continue to give, I continue to sow into you, like I'm giving right now. I'm sowing into you. But what you're sowing right now is your time to watch this. And so you're going to actually receive. You're going to receive more time. So you actually get more of what you seed. So if you're seeding time, you're going to get more time, better time, quality time, all those different things, right? So anyways, y'all, before I continue to rant, I'm going to go ahead and let y'all go. Join me at the challenge, govconchallenge.com. I love you. I'll see you all next time. See you this time, same time, next Friday. And we're going to talk about some new things. So don't miss it. Make sure you, you know, hit the bell notification on YouTube and lock it in. And I'll see you all next week.